council meeting. Information on how to watch, attend, and participate, as well as agendas, minutes, and recordings can be found on Broomfield's website at broomfield.org/council meetings. Public comment is welcome in person or through our call-in service. Instructions for calling in are available on the council meetings webpage. Public comment will be limited to 90 minutes total per item. The first 1 through 15 participants in the queue have 3 minutes to speak. The next 16 through 25 have 2 minutes. And if time remains, the next 26 plus participants have 1 minute to speak. For our hard of hearing residents present, we have wireless headsets available in the back of the council chambers through our AV team. The City Council regular meeting is called to order. Councilmember Henkel is excused and Council members Delgadillo and Ward are attending remotely. There are 9 council members in attendance and a quorum of the council is present. Will everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In an effort to keep order for tonight's meeting, I ask council members to limit their comments to 5 minutes. If council members are given an opportunity to speak for a second time, they should limit their comments to 2 minutes. We'll plan on a 10-minute break at approximately 8 p.m. We'll begin with council's review and approval of this evening's agenda. Council may add or remove items from the consent agenda, or council may revise the order of business for the meeting. Does any member of council have any comments or questions regarding this evening's agenda? All right, are there any objections to this agenda being approved? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. First item under petitions and communications this evening is an update from Joe Donahue, Executive Director of the E470 Public Highway Authority. Welcome, Mr. Donahue. Would you please come to the podium and share your update?
Good evening. I just want to start by thanking the mayor and council members for having us here. I just joined the authority as executive director about a year ago, but I'm not sure of a time that we've had anybody make a presentation to Broomfield. So though Councilmember Leslie sits on our board as a non-voting member, and I'm sure he keeps you abreast, but it's a great opportunity to sort of talk about E470, what we're doing. I'm going to sort of work through this on sort of your procedures here. So if you go to the next slide, please. Just going to talk about the agenda, what I'll sort of touch on tonight. Really what I want to talk about is the history of E470, why we were formed, how it was formed, the governance of E470, understanding tolling. And this is sort of there's a lot of myths out there. We've got a lot of different sort of flavors of tolling in Colorado. So sort of explain how E470 operates, why E470 was built. It's definitely an economic engine on the eastern part of the metro area. Sort of what our investment is to the communities and really growing ourselves as a partner to the communities in the region and not just a toll road. And then just talk briefly about, how we're growing and what we see coming over the next 5 years or so. So we can go forward a couple of slides here. All right. So as you know, E470 is a 47-mile highway. It sort of touches the eastern part of the metro area. And it was put together about 30 years ago, the authority was, and it's governed by the local communities that we run through. Today, we process and we see about 155,000 different vehicles on the road. That equals about 300,000 individual toll transactions. Each vehicle averages about 2 transactions when they travel the authority. The biggest thing about E470 is it's completely self-sufficient. It's not funded by federal, state, local tax dollars. It's really built on tolls and it sustains itself on toll dollars. So just really going back on the history and, I obviously wasn't around when it was formed, but I understand the history. And so if we can go forward a couple of slides here. So E470 was formed in 1985, and it was really formed on the auspices of extending C470, which was built in the southwest corridor of the metro area. And I believe at the time, Governor Lamb decided that they were not going to fund any more extension of the 470 Beltway. Ultimately, they wanted a Beltway around Denver. They thought, most major metro areas had a Beltway, but there was no funding mechanism. It was a big burden. So they decided to create the Public Highway Authority. And so they created the Public Highway Authority Act in 1985. Roy Romer was the governor. And in fact, Bill Owens ran the legislation, who then became the governor. But again, the whole premise of it, it was locally owned. It's not privately owned. It's owned by the jurisdictions, the 3 counties and 5 cities that we run through. Again, no federal funding, no state dollars, no local taxes go into this. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to walk through a brief outline or a timeline. So in 1981, they created the Centennial Airport Area of Influence or influence area, and they did this study for E470. A few years later, they created the 3 counties, Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas County, signed a memorandum of understanding, and they created the E470 public highway, but it was run by just those counties. Once they signed the act in 87, they sort of recruited the cities. They created the alignment for the tollway, and then the cities of Thornton, Brighton, Commerce City, Parker, and Aurora joined the authority. In due time, they built the first section of the road was built in 1988, and it went for 5 miles. It basically went from I-25 down there in Lone Tree and Centennial, and it went to Parker Road, and that's where it ended. And for the longest time, that's pretty much all it was. That section of the road opened in 1992. Next slide, please. In 1996, they determined they got the funding. There were some legal challenges along the way by actually some of the by Arapahoe County. They worked through their legal challenges and they built the rest up to 120th Avenue. And they built that in really 2 segments. And it was sort of built where they built the south end up to Quincy and the north end from like Pena North, and they filled in the middle. But that was all done and opened in the late 90s. In 2000, they decided they were going to extend it up to I-25 to complete the loop, and they did their financing, and that opened in 2003, which sort of completed the loop, or the half loop, if you will. As we evolved, as E470 evolved, and I think it's important to remember when E470 was created, there was really a master plan ultimately to build what would be an 8-lane divided highway, but they built a 2-lane highway, 2 in each direction to start, knowing that as the development would occur out there, they would add on to it. And there was interchanges that were planned to be added. And so you may hear me refer to a master plan. Well, that master plan was created in the late 80s, and we just sort of execute that. And we sort of tune it up every few years based on the growth and the needs, and any partnering with the communities. But E470 opened as a toll road that collected cash, and we used Express Toll, which is the transponder. And in 2009, the decision was made to eliminate cash collection and go to all electronic. And so where we sit today in 2025 is we're an all electronic toll road. We were one of the first all electronic toll roads in the country. And we've actually expanded E470 to 6 lanes all the way up to 104th Avenue. So really from I-25 on the south end up to 104th Avenue in Commerce City and Adams County are now 6 lanes. And we will extend that 6 lanes up to I-25 here over the next 5 to 6 years. One thing to note about myself, and I'll sort of take a break here and give a bio on myself. I started working at E470 in 2000, and I was hired as a financial analyst. By the time I left there in 2012. I was the CFO when I left, and then I went out and worked in the industry, and I worked around the country with toll roads, and then was hired back as at E470 last year as the executive director. So I've been in tolling for 25 years now. It's hard for me to even say that because it feels like I just got into it, but about half of it was at E470, and then half of it was sort of serving agencies around the country, from New Jersey Turnpike to Kansas Turnpike to Texas toll roads to small bridges in the Midwest. So I sort of brought I have sort of the knowledge of locally what happened in Colorado and how E470 was formed and how the rest of this system has evolved with the Northwest Parkway and CTIO and then their P3 plenary, but also understand how these systems operate around the country. I was also raised in Colorado. So I was raised in Longmont, just north of here. And so I'm sort of back home again with my family. So we can go one more slide forward. So I already sort of touched on this, but it is governed still by the 3 counties and 5 cities. Each of those jurisdictions names their representative as someone off their council or their commission. We also have non-voting members, and which I'll get to, but I think that, again, the most important thing about E470 is it's built to be a perpetual funding mechanism so that it can be built out, and it doesn't draw any requirements from the state or local communities to help maintain it or expand it as needed. Next, I guess 2 slides. So just graphically, here are the voting members. Like I said, the 3 counties, Arapahoe, Adams, and Douglas counties, and then Thornton, Parker, Commerce City, Brighton, and Aurora. They are the voting members. If we can go one more slide forward. We also have non-voting members, and those are either jurisdictions that we touch, like Broomfield. Lone Tree sits on the board. We have Weld County has a seat on the board. Greeley, ironically, has a seat on the board. But then we also have DRCOG, RTD has representative, CDOT, really through CTIO, they sit on the board. And then the Regional Air Quality Council. They're non-voting members, but they sit at the table and they sort of advise when it comes time to make decisions. So a couple slides forward. So tolling it's basically users pay for what they use. If they don't use it, they don't pay any money. The whole concept is the funds that we collect go right back into the road. There's no investors. You'll hear us talk about investors, but we have bondholders. We basically took a loan. It's like a mortgage. And so, yeah, there's somebody that owns a bond that is making 5% or 6% or whatever the return is. In fact, probably anybody in this room that has a retirement fund, they probably have tollway bonds. And so when we look at who owns our bonds, it's a lot of the big retirement funds buy our bonds because they're good investments. It's a sort of a steady return and it's safe. But the whole idea is we sort of have the flexibility to grow as we need. We have the funding we need. And our goal is to use tolls as this tool to continue to build the infrastructure as needed. And really our goal is to keep that toll as low as possible and still be able to maintain it without having to raise tolls or go back and say, hey, now we need to put a fee or add a tax, which we're not authorized to do, but that's really not our desire. Our desire is to keep the toll as low as we can get it. The pie chart really shows where the toll dollar goes. So for every dollar we collect, 20 cents of it goes to operate it, and that's mowing, plowing, pavement, administration of the facility. 28 cents of it goes to debt. We still have $1.3 billion outstanding, and that's of the original debt. We have not issued any more debt than what was issued to build the road. And then the other 52 cents just sits in surplus. And we've spent probably multiple billions of dollars over the years of surplus dollars to build and expand the road and add interchanges and overlay and keep the surface fresh. But we also have about $3 billion out in the future of additional interchanges at I-70, at I-76. And then as the growth continues to go north, we have to widen the road up into Adams County. So next slide. What I did here is sort of put some myths or questions that are asked about tolling, and then what the fact is. And, we hear this often, from customers or people writing comments about us is tolling is double taxation, and it's absolutely not. No tax dollars were used to build the road. No tax dollars are collected. And yes, everybody that's driving on the road, put gasoline or in their cars potentially, or if they're EV, I don't know how the fees work for that, but those taxes don't come back to us. And so the tolls pay for the toll road. Tolling is a scam, and it's all for the investors. Investors and bondholders, sold the bonds and lent us the money, but that's their return on investment. Every dollar goes back to pay back what the loan is, or it goes back into the facility. The system is inaccurate and frequently has billing errors, and that's what you hear. Those are the people that contact the media. Our system is 99% accurate, and there's a lot of reasons why customers end up with a bill that's not theirs, or it goes to the wrong address. And some of it starts with the customer, some of it starts with, the technology is not perfect. But we have mechanisms in place to handle those customers and make it right for them. If we're contacted, our goal is not to add fees or to put liens on registrations. But we do have those mechanisms in place because ultimately some people don't want to pay tolls, and we have to have a mechanism to collect those tolls that are owed. And the last one is that, we hear this all the time. Well, once it's paid off, the tolls go away, right? And so the answer to that is no, because as soon as we pay off the first amount of debt, that road's going to be 50 years old, and there could be reconstruction we need to do, and there's still maintenance to do on that road. And so if we cut the tolls off, we could pretty much stop maintaining the road because there's no funding mechanism otherwise. I don't think the state is in a position to pick it up and fund it in their maintenance program. So that's not the case. There is a possibility out in the future, and we're talking 50+ years, to where if there's a perpetual maintenance fund in place, that it could be managed by the state, but it's not written in stone. There's no sunset date for the toll road. But there are toll roads in the country that do have those type of rules. So next slide, please. So in any business and in any organization, there's always things you can do better. And this is what we're focusing on now. We're trying to be better in how we communicate. And so customers understand, how to pay their tolls, why there's a toll, proactively alert customers. We're very aware that consumers today, there's sort of an expectation. We all do business on our phones and on computers, and it needs to be very seamless. And we're working to get that technology in a way so that it's, whether on Amazon you're paying E470, it's a really simple process. We're always strive, one of our main goals is just top quality customer experience. And whether it be talking to an agent or whether it be driving on the road, that it's clear and smooth and you're not sitting in traffic. Improve technology. We're using every technology we can to be as accurate as we can, whether it be cameras or reading technology in the pavement or whatever the sensors are. And then flexibility. We want to give customers the opportunity to take care of themselves without even having to call us, whether it be on their phone disputing a toll or sending us comments or whatever they need to do. We want to make it as self-service as possible. Next slide, 2 slides. So E470, as I said, was built really as an economic development engine years ago. It serves really the eastern part of the metro area. At the time that they created the authority, it was pretty clear that there was not going to be a lot of growth west towards the mountains, and really the growth corridor was going to be east, whether it be northeast or southeast. The proximity of E470, 30% of our traffic is going to or from the airport, whether it be to catch a plane or to go to work. We have a huge customer base that is going to the airport. Next slide. And what I'm going to do just real quickly here. So what I've done is, and if this was a more interactive presentation, this is what sort of the southeast part of E470 looked like in 1995. And so you can see E470 down the middle. This is down there in the area of Southlands, Smoky Hill Road, Quincy. If you can advance to the next slide, you'll see this is what that area looks like today. And so, we get customers from that area and say, well, why should I have to pay the toll? And what I would tell them is, if the toll road wasn't here, your home probably wouldn't be out there. And so, this is the economic development that they saw. There's a major shopping center down there. There's several in that area. There's housing, there's schools, there's all that in that area. The next slide is up towards Denver International Airport. This is what that area looked like. This is looking almost straight down the runways, as you can see at DIA. If you can go to the next slide. There's an area to the south of there that I really want to point out. And that's an area that Adams County is called the Aerotropolis. And what we're seeing out there is lots of warehousing and logistics. Several developers out there. There's a residential development down towards I-70 called Aurora Highlands. There's another developer up near 64th and 56 called Windler. They're anticipating 140,000 jobs out here in this Aerotropolis area, along with lots of residential build out. So going a little bit further north, next slide. This is what the area just north of there, this is Commerce City. And if we can advance one slide, you can start to see what's happening in Commerce City, how is it started to creep out towards E470. And we're actually in conversations with Commerce City right now to get some of these interchanges built or enhanced as they're seeing the growth out in that area. And then the last one, this is looking really from I-25, right above where Northwest Parkway and E-470 touch. If we can go to the next slide. This is sort of the Thornton, Weld County, Adams County corridor. And if you advance to the next slide, you'll see what's happened in Thornton. And so to the south of Thornton, you know, I don't think Broomfield crosses or I-25 to the east, but you've got Weld County up in there to the left. So again, a lot going on. In fact, if you look sort of right dead center in the middle at the bottom, there's a big warehouse, and that was just built here in the last year. It's a big Target distribution center that was built up there. All right, so if we could advance a couple of slides here. So one of the things that, you know, we strive to do now and sort of where we're at in the life of E-470, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I left E-470, was all about making sure we can meet our debt obligations. We have debt service payments that were increasing every year. And so we needed to be able to maintain that. What we've done is we've leveled that debt off now so that we have a lot of flexibility now. As we see growth, we're not really driven by debt payments. So this is how we can control our toll rates. But we're also looking to partner with communities, whether it be the cities or the counties as developers come in. And one of these examples is at 38th Avenue, which there was no interchange there. In fact, we had a toll plaza sitting there. If you look right below where it says 2023 in that block, we had a central maintenance facility sitting out there, and we had a toll plaza. And we relocated the toll plaza. We built an interchange there, and it basically, it's what we call Aurora Highlands. If you can advance to the next slide, you'll see what has been built out there. So this interchange, again, didn't exist. There wasn't even a grade crossing here, but they wanted to have an interchange into this Aurora Highlands, which there's a hospital being built out there now. There's a community out there now. And E-470 contributed about $80 million to this project to build it. And in addition, we also relocated our maintenance facility, and we built a $42 million central maintenance facility sort of on our campus, which is down at Stephen Hogan Parkway down there in Aurora. But other things that we do, we put traffic signals in. A lot of times the cities don't have the means financially to put them in. So we'll work with the city, we'll fund it, we'll build the temporary traffic signals. And then when the warrants are there to put the permanent in, we'll put the permanent signals in. They take over the maintenance, but we make the investment to put the signals in. We've also built 24 miles of multi-use trail from the south end of the road, and it comes up to about 104th Avenue now. And we'll be extending that trail up into the Adams County Regional Park as we continue our widening next year. Next slide. So upcoming projects on the corridor, if we can go one more. As I talked about, you know, there's a lot of things happening on E-470 as we continue to grow north. So we just completed a $300 million widening program that took us from 2 lanes to 3 lanes in both directions from I-70 to 104th Avenue. In that project, we built the 38th Avenue interchange that we just showed, which is called Aurora Highlands Parkway. We also widened several bridges that were there to carry capacity east and west over our road, and we enhanced those interchange ramps. So we added an interchange at 48th, which there was a crossing there, but there was no ramps. We've just recently added traffic signals at Jewel, and we've added traffic signals at Gartrell, which are down in Aurora. And we're in the process of, if you go to the right, expanding that Gartrell interchange, and this will be in partnership with Aurora. And typically what we do is it's usually a 75-25 split, and then we make a financial contribution, and then they manage the construction. And so once it's done, they'll maintain the surface over the bridge. We maintain the bridge structure and the ramps. But additionally, we're adding a new interchange in Brighton, and that's a partnership with Brighton, Adams County, and E-470. It's at Sable Boulevard. It's right at the Adams County Center out there. It's Sable. That's going to be a diamond interchange that just went under construction. That'll be done by next year. We're starting design for the next widening projects, which will go from 104th Avenue to US 85. We're breaking ground. We've been in a 5-year negotiation with a company called Applegreen, and they build travel plazas. And we're going to have 4 new travel plazas where toll plazas used to be. So there's going to be 2 just north of Pena Boulevard, 1 northbound, 1 southbound. There'll be convenience stores. They'll have EV charging stations. They'll have gasoline. They'll have restaurants. There's going to be 1 there. There's going to be 1 northbound just south of I-70, which was our old Toll Plaza B. And there's going to be 1 down in Parker where the old original Toll Plaza was, and it'll be going southbound. So that's getting ready to break ground. We're working today on, we'll be resurfacing the north segment of the road, which goes from the first toll plaza you would get to if you got on I-25. That's Toll Plaza E. It's about Quebec. That whole section of road is going to be resurfaced by the end of this summer. And they'll just take off two inches and put down fresh pavement. That pavement's as old as that section of road is. And additionally, you know, we have a pretty robust solar program. Many of our ramps are powered by solar, as is our administrative headquarters and our maintenance facility. And so we'll be, we brought that maintenance facility online last year. We'll be adding solar to that, and we'll be upgrading the solar at the administrative headquarter facility. And so, you know, we're always looking on the sustainability side of what we do as well. So those are sort of the major projects we see coming. Beyond that, I can tell you that, like I said, we'll be 6 lanes for the whole length of the corridor by the early 2030s. And at the same time, we'll probably be going back and adding to the south end of the road and going to 4 lanes in each direction. And one thing I want to mention about our widening program, you know, I mentioned our master plan that was there to sort of do all of this. And the way we manage that is we look at what we think the level of service is going to be. We work with traffic consultants to sort of figure out and project. We look at, you know, economically what's happening, what's the growth, what are the cities and counties saying, what's Dr. Cog saying is going to happen. And our goal is to just stay ahead of that growth. We don't ever want to be in a place where there's congestion. And so we try to keep it at a level of service C, you know, and it's a federal highway standard, and that's basically free flowing traffic with some friction at times of the day, but we don't have stop and go. We think it's safer, and, you know, customers are paying for the service, and we feel that they sort of deserve that premium service. And so, you know, it was built initially so traffic would come, and now it's being built so that we can maintain the traffic that's out there. One more slide, and then I'll wrap up and answer any questions. So sort of how we look at ourselves, we're community led. Again, we're governed by the local communities. We don't do anything that the local governance doesn't want us to do. We're self-funded. It's a great funding mechanism. It's worked for E470 in that area. We're vital to the economy in that area, and not just that area, but the region, because the businesses that are out there are supporting the whole region, and it was built for growth. I mean, the whole model was for growth and be able to keep up with the growth. And with that, last slide, it's got my contact information and then my public affairs woman sitting here, Shelby Costello. You can reach out to either of us with any questions after this. I also have a little leave behind that I can leave with you. It's just a little 1-page fact file, but I'll entertain any questions you might have for me. I apologize if I went a little long, just a lot of information.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Donahue. I know we're all grateful. It's so close, and it's the best way to get to the airport. Would anyone like to make any comments on this item? Seeing, if you sure, come on up.
Kim Tuisini Pansai, The Outlook. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff. And I have to say 100%, it's the best way to get to the airport. And so many times you're looking at an airport run and thinking, oh my gosh, the weather. And you get onto E470 and it's just never a problem. It's amazing. So yay.
Thank you.
Roxy Jula Lakmar. So in the 70s and 80s, when I was down in all the southern area, and it was all growing because no place else was at the time. C470 was the biggest thing, and it did not grow to keep up with the activity that was going on down there. E470, I was around when it was conceived, And I'm happy to see that is doing so well, and I use it quite often. And then when it comes around to our area of it, actually the road is quite nice, and I'll be glad to see it widen, because once in a while there gets to be at a time frame when the truck traffic gets to be a little much. But once they get it widened, hopefully they can have signs up maybe that they can keep the trucks in the right lane. I used to drive truck, and I always think that's the best place for the semis to be, is in the right lane. So I think this is perfect. They're taking care of themselves. I wish other communities could even do that. But they seem to be under good management, and it seems to be working fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a model. We'll go to questions from council or comments next. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I was interested in your list of future projects because curious, anybody from Broomfield who takes E470 over to I-70 to go east, the exit over there is one little bumpy lane, and then you bounce around under the bridge, and you usually are hemmed in by 6 trucks, and eventually you get on E470 or I-70 going east. Is there any plans to improve the access? Because even coming off I-70 to get on E470 goes down to 1 lane.
Yeah, that is part of the master plan in the next 10 to 15 years. When there's, again, it's one of those things that when it was built in a way to use the existing infrastructure. And if you recall, it had traffic lights when it was first built, if you ever went out there, and the main line did. And we built the sort of flyby to go over, and then we built the ramp from the south. So yeah, that is intended to be built in phases, and we're recognizing that there's a lot of friction out there. So it's a little trickier when you start messing with the interstate highway, because we got to deal with the federal government as well as the state to make that connection. But it's definitely on our radar screen, and it's an area that we're watching very closely.
Related to that area, it is concerning to see how much growth Aurora has approved in the Highlands area. Pena Road is already clogged. If you try to get to the airport from the Aurora side, it takes a long time to get to E470 where it clears up. So I don't know if that's in discussion too, to help keep it from getting clogged on this side as bad as it's getting clogged around the Aurora area, which slows down the highway considerably. One other question I sometimes get asked, because it just seems to be sitting there, Northwest Parkway. Why can't they be just joined together?
So
and it costs a lot more to do the Northwest Parkway.
Yeah, and that's a great point, great question. I could tell you when I was at E470 in the early 2000s, and Bill Behrens was the mayor up here, followed by Karen Stewart. Bill Behrens wanted to join the authority, and we had just funded the last piece, and there was some feasibility risk that we didn't feel like taking on that additional debt, and we had really asked him to be patient and let's get this open. And he at the time decided to create the Northwest Parkway Public Highway Authority, which turned out that the feasibility, there was a developer, I think it was called Preble Creek, was supposed to develop up there, which it's now filled in up there around Highway 7, but it was really slow to develop. That's a different model. Unfortunately, when they defaulted or nearly defaulted on their debt, they went to a concession, they privatized it. And basically what that is that concessionaire comes in and gives a big chunk of money to pay off the debt, and then they own the revenue stream. The difference between a Northwest Parkway model and a concession model and E470 is driven really to just support the community, whereas a concession like that, they come in for a 50 or 75-year lease. I'm not sure what the Northwest Parkway lease is, but they're buying that revenue stream and they're maximizing their revenues over that period of time. I will tell you that I've seen this in the country. In fact, Indiana Toll Road in the mid 2000s, they concessioned the whole thing for like $15 billion. And then 2 years later, the state of Indiana came back and said, yeah, this isn't working. And so I'm certain that there's a mechanism in that agreement if Broomfield wanted to take that back and sort of become government run again. And then I know the authority, I can't speak for my board, and I certainly won't say that, but there's probably some economies of scale to have Broomfield a part of the E470 Public Highway Authority. And there's a process to do that. But as it's in a concession today, it's definitely something I keep my eye on. In fact, I had a good conversations with Councilman Leslie about this one time. We had lunch, and I just said, it's it's sort of a resource that sits up here that doesn't get utilized a lot because it's very expensive. And I have to believe that the local roads are feeling that pressure because I see a lot of traffic coming off our road, getting on I-25 and then jumping off on Highway 7 or going to 144th, which just means your local infrastructure is carrying that capacity that maybe could be carried all the way into Louisville or east of 287, another major thoroughfare there. So certainly a lot to discuss and unpack there, but I would love to see it locally run again personally. And, love to see what could be worked out in the future potentially.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Leslie.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. One of the things we also talked about was the possibility of you inviting the council to come for a tour of the new facility. I was enormously impressed. One of the things that you really haven't had time to talk about tonight is the safety factor. Trucks are available if somebody breaks down, if there's free service to get you back up and running again. My first board meeting, I was so impressed. They recognized a young man who's a driver of one of those maintenance trucks. And he, late at night, was able to stop a inebriated driver who was coming down the wrong side of E470, who could very easily have killed others, including himself. And this young man was able to stop him, get him turned around, if you will, and then follow him until the police were able to catch up with him. And so the board gave this young man a gift, a token of appreciation. That's not the only time. We had another one of those recently. So there's a real sophisticated system of cameras. Everybody's watched as they're going through the toll system, et cetera, and it's really impressive. So if you would be willing to extend an invitation to the council, I think many of us here would like to have that tour.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I could work that out through you and, through our operations staff, but I'll just speak real briefly. We do have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week roadside assistance program where we have drivers out there. We also have 24-hour surveillance. We have a traffic management center that we can monitor 100% of the roadway all the time. In fact, we're upgrading that system now, so it's even more effective and we can more quickly respond, whether it be a vehicle broke down or debris in the road. We sort of give ourselves a standard that if a piece of debris is in the road for greater than 30 minutes and somebody hits it and damages their vehicle, we'll take care of it for them. So we really take pride in customers being able to be out there and be safe. And, whether it be the roadside assistance, the cable rail we put down the middle to alleviate crossover accidents, to deer fencing to keep deers from, crossing the road and creating a hazard. I mean, safety is a big piece of what we do, and that's a big piece of where investment goes as well.
And just a final thought too, is you also do provide support services to the other toll authorities. So the management of E470 is really excellent, and the team is really excellent. Some of you may remember Brenda Ritchie, who was our CFO. She's the CFO now for the toll authority. And so I continue to see her from time to time. But I just personally want to thank you and congratulate you on your leadership. Would love to see the other part of the toll road combine at some point. I don't know if that's something that this council could do anything about. I know I use Dillon Road a lot, so I can avoid that higher toll, which is along that extension of the Northwest Parkway. And it's a more expensive route and it doesn't need to be that way. So anyway, thank you. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll work on, we can set something up and I'll work with whomever I need to whoever can come out. We'd be happy to show you around the facility and talk more about what we do.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation and your presence here tonight. So as Mayor Pro Tem, one of the pieces that I've tried to do is increase the efficiency and effectiveness of council members. In looking at Broomfield's participation in E470, it seems that there is a resolution that requires non-voting members or an affiliate member. They must be represented by an elected official. And I assume that this resolution is E470's and not Broomfield's. And so I'm curious, is there a possibility of adjusting that resolution to allow the appointment of staff as for those non-voting members as opposed to just council members? You don't have to answer that tonight, but I'm just curious if that's something the board might consider.
Yeah, I'll have to check with my general counsel to see. It's probably in our bylaws that way, but we can certainly look at that and see what's possible. But I'll have to check with my counsel to see sort of how it's written and how it's set up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all, I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? Well, I thank you so much for coming here tonight, y'all, and giving us an update. And we really appreciate all that you're doing. It is a model that many other entities could probably learn from.
And like I said, I've got a little leave behind. I can just leave it back here on the table or somewhere where you guys can just grab it if you want. It's just a little one pager.
Oh, yeah, you can drop it off at the edge of the dais.
Okay,
if you
I'll
want,
do
and
that.
We'll pass it down.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Mr. Donahue. All right, next we have a proclamation declaring August 2025 as Child Support Awareness Month in Broomfield. Will the staff representatives here to accept the proclamation please come and meet Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf at the podium? All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. I'll summarize the proclamation and then I'll turn it over to our representatives for comments. The proclamation recognizes the vital role of parental financial and emotional support in a child's success and well-being, and highlights how caregivers, extended families, and communities contribute to children's healthy development. Broomfield is committed to providing family-centered child support services, ensuring regular, timely support, which strengthens parent-child relationships, improves educational outcomes, and reduces reliance on public assistance. We honor both responsible parents and the child support professionals who serve families with dignity and respect. Therefore, as mayor, I hereby declare and proclaim August 2025 as Child Support Awareness Month in Broomfield. Would our representatives like to make any comments?
We would. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and city staff. August marks Child Support Awareness Month. It's an opportunity for us to recognize the critical role child support services play in strengthening our families and our community. The consistent child support that we collect ensures that children in our community have access to the resources they need to not only thrive, but achieve their full potential. And we take that work very seriously. But we do more than just collect dollars. We impact and promote healthy family dynamics by promoting responsible parenting time, as well as reducing financial stress in households, which is key in most situations. We're fortunate in Broomfield to have a dedicated team. Please join us.
Stand up,
Please
team.
all
You're
join
being
us
recognized.
and be recognized. This is the best part of my coming here tonight. I get to recognize the outstanding efforts, commitment, and compassion that they bring to their work every single day. So we're very fortunate to have them. And I want to extend my personal thanks for all the work you do and how you make a positive commitment. I'd also would like to introduce Susan Johnson. She's our Child Support Services Supervisor, to talk just a little more in detail about some of the great work that we do. So thank you and appreciate the proclamation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So our collections just for this year, I'm going to give you some highlights of what we have for our mid-year. We have collected about $1.7 million already so far this year. Just in June, we've collected over $255,000. We also received a lump sum from a little over $26,000 from a personal injury claim that somebody had filed. So that entire money went to the family. And so it helps with getting their arrears paid down and helping with assisting in possible colleges and for the children. On an average, our yearly collections consist of about $3 million. And that, of course, is the benefit of the children. Also, we meet all of our state goals consistently every year, and we continue to be recognized as the exceptional performers. So we get celebrated by the state, which is exciting for us. Our staffing includes 2 full-time child support workers and 3 part-time staff members also to serve our community here in Broomfield. We we are among the 22, well, I'm sorry. We're of the most cost-effective counties among the 22, we are. And we do more with less staff. So our successes on collecting is more than just collecting on financial support. Our child support staff understand the value of establishing a rapport with the customers and the importance of the fair and equitable engagement. Their philosophy remains their first priority. These accomplishments reflects our staff's dedication and commitment for excellent service. So I also want to thank them for all the hard work they do, making sure those payments get processed timely to get out to the families. Also for celebrating, we have we are celebrating next month. We bought some shirts. They say August. We wear green for child support awareness. It's the color for our nation. All states do this, so. And we also bought some little ducks that we're going to hand out to our customers for August. So the kids
Aw.
can really feel like they're getting something too. So,
Well done. Does that wrap up your remark?
yes.
Well, let's go. Thank you. Let's go to the audience. Does anyone like to comment on this item? Anyone online? All right, council, any questions or comments from council? Councilmember Wynn?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you so much for your work and dedication for this. I think this is important, especially with the prevalence of a lot of healthcare services that are not going to be available for some families in the future. So I don't envy that there's going to be, I mean, there is a significant need. I envy the dedication, the passion you guys have shown. So thank you for being here. Thank you for wearing the green shirts. I really appreciate the work you do.
Thank you.
Agreed. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening and for the work that you do in our community. It is very appreciated.
Thank you.
The next item under petitions and communications this evening is an invitation and information from the Broomfield Open Space Foundation regarding Nature Fest 2025. Would the representatives from the Open Space Foundation please come down to the podium and tell us about the event?
Hello, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and Council and community. I'm Tara Lenahan and I'm here with Karen Steele representing the Broomfield Open Space Foundation. We have a couple slides to share. We are getting ready for our second Nature Fest. These are some pictures from last year's Nature Fest. You can see we are celebrating all things nature with, our partners, the City and County of Broomfield, the City of Westminster, and you can go to the next slide if you'd like to get some details about Nature Fest. It will be on August 16th from 9 to noon. At Metzger Farmstead. So it's a wonderful opportunity to get out and check out the farmhouse and all the signage. And we will have lots of great vendors there with live animals and lots to learn and experience about nature. And so we hope that everyone will join us. And there's one more slide just as a reminder of who we are. The Broomfield Open Space Foundation, how long have we been around? Kristen? Okay, so at least around 15 years. And our mission is to protect, enhance, and promote Broomfield's open spaces, trails, and wildlife so that people can enjoy diverse natural places today and in the future. And just briefly, some of the things we do to support the open space and trails department here is we support and host a variety of programs, including the Broomfield Nature Program, going out and planting native seeds in our open spaces. We help with the annual fishing derby. restoring grasslands and removing invasive species to help our ecosystems. Preschool nature walks, Broomfield Trails Day, we participate in. Metzger open houses, what are those called now?
We're calling them Metzger, Discovering Metzger.
Discovering Metzger Farm. So we host open houses during the summer on Saturdays. I think the next one is this Saturday, where people can come and we open the gates and people can walk through and learn about the farmhouse. And then, of course, the open space speaker series. These are just a few of the things we do. So I wanted to take the opportunity to remind you all about the work that we're doing.
And last year, we reached 1,600 citizens of Broomfield, children, grandparents, parents, through a lot of these activities and more. So we feel like we're having a very positive impact on our city.
Yes, and thank you for all your support.
Yes,
Oh, thank you guys for all that you do. I mean, we're very fortunate to have these wonderful spaces to showcase and share. And your advocacy is definitely appreciated. So would anyone like to comment on this item? Any questions? I'll go to council next. Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Hey, just real quick, since I looked it up. So the Broomfield Open Space Foundation was started in 2006, became a official IRS in 2008. So 15
Very
years
cool.
was a pretty dang good guess. And
Yes.
I'd never,
Thank
say
you.
that Kristen was wrong. On the question, so I noticed in the beginning slide that City of Westminster was on there. Is this a partnership program with the City of Westminster?
Well, that's a great question. So as you all may know, the Metzger Farm is a joint project with the City of Westminster and the City and County of Broomfield. So it's a really great opportunity to work with them. And I think they will be there, right?
The answer's no. We put their name on there because they do own, that property with Broomfield, but
It's us putting it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, all the people helping.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And can you go back a slide, please, so we can look at that date again? Make sure everybody
Sure,
knows when
yeah.
it's happening.
So,
But
and
I
it's
already
August
forgot.
16th.
Okay.
So it's a
thank you.
Saturday from 9 to noon.
Got
We will
it.
have Broomfield storytellers there. We will have plein air painters, butterfly
Painting.
pavilion, all kinds of great educational opportunities for kids and adults.
Dave Allison will be there with the history group.
Yes.
To give us a rundown, a rundown of the history of
It's such an
Metzger.
amazing history too.
It is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property.
Wonderful. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for our guests? Well, thank you both for being here and thank you for putting on yet another, I'm sure, well-attended event for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our final item under petitions and communications this evening provides information and an invitation to the 2025 National Night Out. Chief Hempelman, would you please come down to the podium and share your presentation?
Good evening, everyone. I am here to remind everyone about National Night Out on August 5th from 5 to 8 at Commons Park. It's our annual nationwide event dedicated to community building and crime prevention. This is the event that truly shows what the police department does, and we try to strengthen trust and cooperation between law enforcement and our community. So I hope everyone can be there. We're going to have everything from animal services, B Corps, our CNT, which is our crisis negotiation team with our SWAT team as well, K-9, and many, many others, the fire department, public works, public health. So many of our CCOB staff will also be there. Our departments will be there to share information about our wonderful CCOB. So we hope everyone can be there. Again, August 5th at Commons Park from 5 to 8. And then while I'm here, I can help but share September 17th at 10 a.m. We're going to have our 3rd annual Chiefs Senior Walk, which is always a fun event. It starts at BCC Rec Center. And we do a 1-mile walk, and you can walk with officers or myself, and we can chat. And we also provide donuts. So you have to have that. So I hope everyone can be there.
Who doesn't love a donut? Would anyone like to comment on this item? So that's next Tuesday night, next Tuesday. And so we won't be having a council meeting in honor of, oh, no, it's the following. Sorry, I'm way ahead. I don't know why I'm in the future. It's August 5th. Thank you. And so we won't have a council meeting that Tuesday night because everybody will be participating. Any questions or comments from council? I'm not seeing any, so thank you so much, Chief, and thanks for putting on this fun and informational event. We hope to see a large turnout for National Night Out 2025. Next is council member reports. Does any member of council have any reports or updates this evening? Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, Mayor. So on July 10th, 2025, I attended the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport Part 150 study open house. It took place at the Omni Interlaken Hotel. There was no formal presentation, but there were representatives on hand to answer questions. The Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport has voluntarily undertaken this program to address noise and land use compatibility. Following this study, there might be noise mitigation recommendations for non-compliance land uses that may become eligible for federal funding and implementation upon FAA approval. So as we've seen down in Centennial, at Centennial Airport, there were recommendations put forward. The FAA did not accept any of those recommendations, or they accepted very few of those recommendations, and there was no federal funding and implementation of those recommendations. This process is driven by the FAA, and the RMMA has consulted with an outside consultant to go through this process. The process is just starting and could take maybe about 2 years or so to complete. One of the goals of the study includes determining the current and future noise levels around RMMA using the Aviation Environmental Design Tool. This is the FAA approved noise model. And I say this is because this is the major thing I want to make sure the residents are aware of. There will be no on-ground noise monitors for this study. All of the noise levels from each plane will be known through modeling, as the FAA knows the plane type, the speed, the altitude of each plane that flies within this airspace, and they know the amount of noise created by each of these planes. So there will be no on-ground noise monitors conducting how much noise there is being seen from different houses. That is all going to be modeled based upon the FAA's knowledge of those airplanes. So I just wanted to report back on that. I've had some questions in the community about where these noise monitors are going to be located. And again, there are no noise monitors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other of my colleagues have any reports or updates? Well, I have one. Last week, I participated in a panel with Front Range Passenger Rail, RTD, and the legislature folks. And the name of the panel was Mission Impossible because it was talking about joint service. And joint service would include Broomfield, Louisville, and Westminster. So I was the skeptic on the panel, of course, but according to the folks at Front Range Passenger Rail, there are enough existing financial resources between the state and RTD's sales tax to cover the cost of 3 daily round trips, meaning, according to them, no new sales tax revenue is needed to commence a starter service. Joint service is a rail project that aims to maximize the existing services and infrastructure. There are cost savers from moving from a commuter system, such as RTD's proposed service to Longmont, and instead being intercity passenger rail from Denver to Fort Collins. The March 1st report found that if the state contributes 50% of its available rail revenue, then RTD's expected contribution would be less than 11 million annually than if they just went alone. So the state of Colorado will see over 150 million in new annual investments in transit and rail through the new daily rental car fee and a new fee on oil and gas extraction starting in 2026. So the group feels that Coloradans do support expanding passenger rail and support prioritizing investments in transit and rail over roads and bridges in concept. So increased frequency can be added according to Front Range Passenger Rail that if they do go to the ballot and are successful in giving the district new revenue to increase frequency in both the northern and southern corridors. So much more to come on that. So that we were asking to see the numbers, and those are the numbers they gave us. So we'll keep an eye on this project. Thank you. Next is public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on matters other than the items already listed elsewhere on this evening's agenda. If there's anyone who would like to be heard, please come to the podium and state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone online? Nope. Okay. All right. Then next is, do we have reports from you guys, or is it's after? Any reports from you, Ms. Gilbert, Ms. Hoffman?
None from me. None from me.
All right, thank you. Next is the 2025 second quarter expense report for elected officials. It was provided under reports tonight, so we'll move to public comments. If there's anyone who would like to be heard on this item, please come to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record. Not seeing any, no one online. All right. Next, under reports this evening is the Master Services Agreement Quarterly Report for June 2025. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize. Ms. Burton-Zetti?
I believe that was included in your packet.
So there's not really a presentation.
Manager Hoffman, do we have a formal presentation? I don't believe we do for the item.
We do not.
Okay. Well, then the report was in the agenda. If anyone has any comments? Nope. Moving on. Council, any comments on the Master Services Agreement? Not seeing any. Okay. We'll now continue with the report section. I've already checked with city manager and city attorney. No reports. So council's consideration of the consent items is next. Item 6E is a Board of Equalization item. As a reminder, council is the Board of Equalization, so a vote by council on this is a vote for the BOE. The clerk will read all of the consent items by title, and there'll be one opportunity for public comments and discussion. Will the clerk please read agenda items 6A through 6E by title?
6A, approval of minutes for the regular council meeting of July 8th, 2025. 6B, proposed ordinance number 2271, creating an administrative process allowing civil penalties for certain code violations, first reading. 6C, proposed resolution number 2025-118, approving authorization for spending under master services agreements for water and utility supplies with Core and Main LP and Rexel USA Inc. and battery-powered landscape equipment with TNT Fleet Services Inc., DBA High Altitude Equipment, and Mac Equipment Inc. 6D, proposed resolution number 2025-110, approving amendment number 3 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Regional Transportation District for Highway 36 bicycle shelters. 6E, proposed resolution number 2025-111, BOE, approving mutual agreements on abatements for over $10,000.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now proceed with public comments on the consent items. If anyone would like to be heard, please make your way to the podium. State your name and neighborhood for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Kim Tui Cindy Ponsai, The Outlook. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and City staff. I have a pretty simple, well, I have a short question. When I was reading through this agenda item, it occurred to me that as a resident, I really don't know where to even find the codes and conditions that I'm supposed to be obeying. And so is there a simple place where people can go to find out, you know, what they're supposed to be doing or not doing?
Thank you for that question. I'll go to our city and county attorney, Pat Gilbert.
Yeah, our municipal code, the Broomfield Municipal Code is online. Unicode has the entire copy of all of the codes by sections, as well as a copy of our charter.
Well, I know there's a MuniCode app because I use it. And you can access anyone's municipal code. with
If
it,
you
so-
Google Broomfield Municipal Code, it'll come up under the Muni Code, and I'm doing it right now.
MUNI, short for
Yeah,
municipal.
and it's their website is library.municode.com. And then you would look, they do all the municipal codes for a lot of jurisdictions. So you would look specifically for Broomfield.
Is it on our website?
I believe it is on our website.
It is. It's the first link that pops up if you type in.
Go to broomfield.org
Mhm.
and then search municipal code. Good question, though. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to council questions and comments next. Does any member of council have any questions or comments?
Mayor, I hate to
That's
interrupt
okay.
and follow up. I had to look at our city attorney's website. If you go onto our website, it also has a link to those code sources.
Yeah, City and county attorney section.
Yeah, if you just look in our department page.
So if you go through the department section, find the attorney's department and then go there too. There's probably more than one way. to
There's
get
more
it.
than one way to get to the codes.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. All right, we'll go to questions from council, and Councilmember Cohen was
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask if Manager Brittonzetti could address 6D. I know a number of us received some emails and I think there's some confusion over that issue.
I'd be happy to add a little detail for item 6D was regarding the RTD agreement, the IGA, and really love the opportunity to highlight this because it is an opportunity to say how staff is always looking for ways to be fiscally responsible. And recently we learned that RTD was increasing their fees that they were going to be charging Broomfield for the maintenance at our existing bike shelters. And based on the increase in the fees, the decrease in their maintenance of those existing shelters, staff looked to a third-party vendor and was able to reduce the annual cost by $14,000 by going with an external third party. And so this IGA will allow us to modify the existing contract so that we can use that third party. So there's no additional bike shelters being proposed. This is in regards to the existing agreement with RTD for the security and the maintenance at those facilities.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, Mayor. So just wanted to ask a couple questions on 6B as well as 6C. So 6B, when reading this memo, it seems this system of the civil administrative enforcement system is similar to the procedure that Broomfield currently applies to our traffic infractions. How is this similar and how does it differ from that procedure that is used for those traffic infractions?
I'm going to ask Senior Attorney Courtney Tiemann to address that question.
Hi, Courtney Tiemann, Senior City Attorney. Okay, so your question is, how is this new structure similar to the traffic infractions? It's incredibly similar. Just like with the traffic infraction, where you have the opportunity, there's like a set fine on your ticket, you have the opportunity to pay it early. That's the same idea. What's different is the way the traffic infractions are set up. If you don't pay it early, you come to the municipal court docket, right? I think you've probably seen docket. So you're going to come to docket and you'll sit through docket. You'll have, if you enter a not guilty plea, you'll have the opportunity to have a trial to Judge Bachman, right, to the court. Typically, right, the rules of evidence are followed, beyond a reasonable doubt is used. So where these two systems are going to differ is if you choose to not just pay the fine and move on, right? In this system, you have to come in and ask for a hearing. You essentially have to appeal, right? Or disagree with your ticket. And then you would be put on a different docket, and it's set more similarly to an administrative hearing. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay.
To just follow on though, so one of the violations concerns weeds and rubbish. So typically the code enforcement officer offers notice and hopes for, voluntary compliance with that violation. Weeds over, I believe, 8 inches tall, or maybe it's 13 inches tall. Don't quote me on which inches it is. But when these don't get resolved, there is currently an issuance of a summons and complaint into the municipal court criminal justice system. Is that correct?
That's right.
So now there will be an administrative enforcement process. So I'm curious, will the violators just continue to not resolve that issue, thus, increasing the amount of rubbish or the size of those weeds? Or is there another step to ensure that that violation is actually resolved?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when we thought about that, so that's why we've kept the code violation. Let me just tell you. So it says in the ordinance, we have a section that says that this civil penalty procedure does not have to be the way that we proceed in a case, right? And so if I think if code sees that they've issued the fine, right, and perhaps it's been paid and that's happened once or twice, and we're still seeing violations, then they'll revert back to the same system we have right now, which is they'll give them a ticket into municipal court. They'll have to appear for their summons in court. They'll have to meet with the prosecutor, and they'll have to ultimately, for the most part, go in front of the judge for a sentencing.
Great. Thank you so much for answering those questions. My other question regards 6C, which is the Master Services Agreement. So with the last Master Services Agreement on March 25th, there was an amendment requiring a quarterly special report from the Finance Department, which we got earlier tonight.
Correct.
So I'm curious, will this same reporting mechanism still be followed for these particular agreements, or do we have to have an amendment to create for these specific ones that are on this this resolution?
Mr. Acevedo Yates is on his way down to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. David Acevedo Yates, Deputy Director of Finance. I don't believe we require an amendment on this. We would plan on for this resolution and any future resolutions for MSAs, we would just incorporate those MSAs into the quarterly report. So you would see that information each quarter based on all the MSAs that we have available.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Not seeing any. So will the clerk read all the consent items by title? Oh, we already did that. Before asking for a motion, I want to remind everyone that item 6D contains an intergovernmental agreement which requires 2/3 approval of council. Is there a motion by council that consent items 6A through 6E be approved? Councilmember Leslie.
Recommend that the agenda items be approved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Wynn.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. And Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
Vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote, and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. All right, the first item under action items tonight is the public hearing and council's consideration on second reading of a proposed ordinance related to natural medicine regulations. I'll now declare the public hearing open. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Planning Manager Brandon Rowe is going to walk us through this item. Given it's a second, it will be a little bit repetitive, but very brief. Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, Brandon Rowe, Planning Manager. So the item before you this evening is the second reading of proposed ordinance number 2270 related to natural medicine and natural medicine regulations. as Manager Hoffman mentioned, we did provide a full presentation on during first reading on June 10th. So tonight's presentation will be brief. Next slide, please. As a reminder, ordinance number 2270 is intended to establish regulations related to natural medicine in line with state legislation and regulations. The ordinance would create definitions related to healing centers, natural medicine, and natural medicine businesses. These definitions are designed in a manner that cross-reference state statute and state definitions. That way, if the state were to make changes at some point in the future, it prevents staff from having to come back on a repetitive basis and constantly update definitions. Next slide, please. And the state legislation limited how much local jurisdictions could do when it came to natural medicines. So as a reminder, local jurisdictions are not able to outright prohibit natural medicine businesses from being allowed within their jurisdictional boundaries. But the state legislation did allow for time, place, and manner regulations to be put into place. So we are not proposing any time-related regulations. Most of our businesses are not regulated based on time, but we are proposing place and manner regulations. So the proposed ordinance would establish zone districts that allow specific locations for natural medicine healing centers, testing facilities, cultivation facilities, and product manufacturing facilities. It would also establish a required 1,000-foot separation from childcare centers, preschools, elementary, middle, or junior high schools, and/or residential childcare facilities. And then the manner regulations limit the fact that these businesses can't produce any odors or noise or glare or light that is impacting people from adjacent public areas, dwelling units, or at the property line. And it also prohibits natural medicine businesses from being operated as a home occupation. So these place and manner regulations are consistent with what was presented during not only the study session earlier this year, but also the first reading on June 10th. There have been no changes to the proposed ordinance since first reading. And that does conclude my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard on this item, please make your way to the podium. Anyone online? No? Okay. Questions from council are next. Members should limit themselves to questions. Any questions from council? There being no questions. Oh, sorry, Councilmember Lim.
I asked some questions last time about the deference to the state enforcement too and regulation. If the state were to encounter enforcement issues in Broomfield, would we receive a report in any way, or would we receive notification of that in any way, such that if it became, I'm just thinking, if it became a large problem where we would want to consider our own regulations?
Councilmember, I actually don't know the answer to that question regarding any reporting. Unfortunately, I can get that information for you after this evening, but council always has the opportunity to direct staff to revisit possible regulations, and we would likely want to do another study session at some point if that were to ever become an issue. But we could get that answer to you on the reporting after tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2270. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7A, ordinance number 2270 to amend the Broomfield Municipal Code, Title 17, related to natural medicine.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second and final reading and order published in full? Councilmember Marshall.
So
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none. Council members, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. And Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have entered their vote. And the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Thank you. Next, under action items this evening are 3 proposed resolutions approving consulting agreements related to Broomfield's water recovery facility improvements. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. And Ken Rutt, Director of Water Utilities, is making his way down to the podium. This is one of the pieces of the outcome of the enterprise funds, shoring them up. And these are tangible examples of what is coming now, what is coming in the future, and ensuring asset management as we move forward. Mr. Rutt.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council, Manager Hoffman. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight our wastewater or water recovery expansion project. Some key items as we get ready to go through this presentation is that we are looking at the maximum price with our contractor Moltz, and then also with the engineering agreements with Corello Engineers. Next slide. So going back, for those who may or may not know, the water recovery facility was actually built in about 1954 at its current location, which is just east of Lowell on 124th Avenue. Since 1954, it has undergone 5 different expansions as the community has continued to grow. And right now we have currently about a 12 million gallon per day hydraulic flow, because wastewater treatment facilities are permitted under both hydraulic flows and organic loading. And so we have 12 million gallons of hydraulic flow and 23,108 pounds for our organic loading. What our responsibilities is as the planning and land use authority, and also as the utility surface area management and operating agencies, our responsibilities is to ensure that we have proper wastewater collection systems and wastewater treatment facilities. It includes the ability for us to design, construct, operate, and maintain our wastewater treatment facilities. We also must adequately finance these operations through significant or sufficient revenue generation. And as Manager Hoffman mentioned earlier, this is part of our continuing financial sustainability pieces and our 5-year plan in managing the revenues. Next slide. So in October 10th of 2023, we presented the master plan, the wastewater utility master plan. It detailed out a 13-year capital improvement program that included both current and future regulatory and capacity requirements. It also included asset renewal improvements and upgrades to structures. And the plan had identified 5 phases. The primary factors driving these phases and their associated costs included regulatory requirements, which accounted for 39% of the cost. Asset renewal was 20%, biosolids 18%, the capacity was 17%, and reuse improvements were 6%. Next slide. So part of our first phase design has been completed. It has been submitted to the state of Colorado to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment's Water Quality Control Division, who is responsible for reviewing all wastewater designs and approving what is called a site application, which allows you to commence construction. That has been submitted to the state, and we have received the site application. The phase 1 design included several major components. One of which is what's called flow equalization basin and pump station. This allows the treatment facility to manage our flows, because wastewater comes and goes throughout the day depending on when people are active in using the wastewater system. So a lot of times in the morning, early morning, People get up, take their showers, do those type of things. So we'll see a high loading coming in, generally about 8 to about 11 o'clock in the morning. It stays pretty consistent during the day with business flows. And then you see another peak as people go back home, washing dishes, cooking dinner, washing laundry, all those good things. And so the flows continue to stay high until roughly about 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they start to drop off. So what the flow equalization basin does for us is it provides us an opportunity to equalize that flow throughout the day so that we can manage those flows so they're consistent rate that goes through the wastewater treatment plant throughout the day. And why is that important? Well, you have several operation efficiencies. You got power consumption. It makes it easier for power consumption because wastewater treatment is all microbiology for the most part, the secondary containment, and they all have to have dissolved oxygen, and you use blowers to provide that. And by keeping the flows constant, your blowers don't wrap up and down, increasing your electrical usage. The other thing it allows for is for our reuse system. When is reuse used? Between 9 p.m. and about 7 a.m. So when the flows at the wastewater plant are at their lowest is when the peak reuse demands come in. And so we have to have that flow equalization to manage that flow to help us keep that pumping rate to meet those demands. And so that's some of the critical pieces of the flow equalization. The other piece that with this flow equalization will be expanded to to include our ability to handle additional flows as we continue to grow and also to manage the reuse system at a higher volume. The other part of the construction piece is to add a fourth primary clarifier. Basically, a primary clarifier is a large, wide spot in the line to allow the heavier organic material to sink to the bottom and be removed, allowing the suspended materials to continue on through the treatment process. And then the other piece that's important is the enhanced odor control system. We will be adding significant amount of odor control to the facility. One of the things is the current flow equalization basin is an open basin, which you can kind of see on the map at the bottom. It's the big oval circle on the bottom. That's where it's currently located. It'll be moved to the top left corner, the square box. That will be covered. Currently, it's an open basin. It is the largest volume of odors produced on the wastewater facility. And that basin will be covered and that air will be treated from that facility. We will also be upgrading and optimizing our energy usage with our blower system. And then the last one will be the increased capacity with our reuse pumping system. Next slide. So tonight, what we're presenting is two distinct early work packages. The 2025 budget funds will be used as a critical component of our procurement of our key long equipment lead times. For example, the reuse strainers that was approved by council in 2023, we got them last month. So that was about 30 months of lead time to get those pumps. Typically, a generator takes about 2 years to get. And so part of the early work package that we're presenting tonight is to provide the contractor with the ability to make some of these long lead orders, whether that's our variable frequency drives, electrical equipment, generators, and some blowers, and to initiate some of the construction activities. And then this will allow our critical work to commence immediately, and that will bridge the period between when we'll present the bonding package to be secured in early 2026. The late work package will come, we're projecting to come to council back in late 2025, I believe in December of 2025, following the 2026 budget presentation and adoption. And once we get the bonding schedule, and that will be presented in December. Similar, there's two proposed engineering service agreements, which we're presenting tonight in two parts, an early work and a late work. And that's also due to the available funding in 2025. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at seeking bond funding in early 2026. The timetable for both the design and engineering for the Phase 1B must be completed within the 2026 bond funding timeframe. So what does that mean? That means basically we have about 3 years, once those bonds are issued, to complete 85% of the volume of work outlined in the bonds. So tonight with all that as a background, tonight we're also proposing the 2 engineering agreements with Carollo Engineering, which would be to do the early work package for construction management, and then also to an engineering design service agreement for 30% design of what we're calling Phase 1B. We've added, earlier I said we had 5 phases. We actually have modified that now into 6 phases. Due to the bond funding requirements, we needed to move some of that construction that would be under Phase 2. We had to bring it into what we call Phase 1B in order to make sure all of the timing and the constructions meet all of our requirements. Because one of the major requirements, there's 2 major requirements with wastewater treatment facilities and our permit. One is, and you have to be under design by the time you get to 80% of your capacity, which we are there. You also have to be under construction by the time you reach 95%. We are projecting that we will hit 95% in 2027. So why is that important? If you hit 95% and you're not starting construction, the state requires us to hold all building permits. We would be unable to issue any building permit.
So we're on time, right?
Yep, we're right on time.
Okay, good.
The updated numbers are, yeah, we're perfectly right on time. We're not ahead and we're not behind. So
I'll take it.
we'll take that, right? How many times does that happen? Next slide. So just a little background, we did issue an RFQ for construction management and general contractor. We had 4 firms submit qualifications. Molt Construction was selected based on their qualifications, experience, and project approach. They also were the low fee. Background, Molt Construction has completed 2 of the latest expansions at the wastewater facility, so they're very familiar with the work they're about to perform. Like I said, the general management contract agreement is a 2-step project process. The first phase, step 1 is pre-construction services. That's $196,380. And the second is the guaranteed maximum price for approval for construction. So tonight, staff is presenting Amendment 1 to the Molt Construction Agreement for the early work package to procure long lead equipment and secure initial construction funding until the bonds are made available. Next slide. Then secondly, we're proposing 2 engineering agreements with Carollo. The first engineering service for construction management of Phase 1 of the early work package. That's Resolution 2025-13. And then the engineering design for the 30% of Phase 1B. Similar to the construction agreements, as I said earlier, are being phased to fully complete Phase 1 and Phase 1B. And next slide. See, on May 1st, 2025, we did hold a neighborhood meeting to review the upcoming construction projects and the timeline related to the wastewater or the water recovery facility. Staff provided an overview of the project, including the anticipated schedule and potential construction impacts to the neighborhood. A brief tour of the site was also offered to the interested parties who attended the meeting. And then subject to council approval and issuance of the permits by Broomfield, the contractor plans to mobilize the site promptly after notice to proceed. The contractor will be preparing submittals and ordering necessary materials and coordinating the mobilization efforts. And the Phase 1 construction is expected to take 3 years. Next slide. Again, this is staff's recommendation, is that we recommend the approval of the agreement with Moltz Construction for the early work package and the 2 agreements for construction services for Carollo Engineering and the design 30% Phase 1B. Next slide. That ends the staff presentation. We're available for questions as needed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rupp. Next is public comment. If anyone would like to comment on this item, now's the time. Anyone online? All right, and we'll go to questions from council. Any questions from council? Councilmember Lim.
Do have my curiosity piqued now that you said that if the 85% of the work has to be completed in 3 years of issuing the bonds. That's
Yes.
interesting. Given all the contingencies that are involved, even with, ordering some of the equipment ahead of time. And you said some of the equipment just took 30 months to come in.
Mhm.
So what happens if we don't finish the work in 3 years? Or 85% of the work in 3 years of issuing the bonds?
There is a little bit of leadway. Finance Director Graham would have to answer most of that. There is some leadway. I don't know all the details, and we'll have to get back to you with the details of that.
Okay. I was following in the AQCC, the Rule 3 rulemaking involving hydrogen sulfide. And the issue of how the wastewater plant will be impacted by that rulemaking. Is the design of Phase 1 involving any of that planning for that rulemaking?
Part of the odor control system, one of the major odors that we receive at the wastewater plant is H2S, and that's all generated throughout the collection system. And so the odor control system that we've designed and are planning to install will address it through most of the treatment plant. The part on the rule is more, I think it's going to be more of a challenge for us in the collection system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? None online. Next is council's consideration. And there are, I'm sorry, Councilmember Anderson.
I was having serious trouble with the button. So I do have a question, and I think I brought this up the last time was, a lot of what we're seeing is these regulations, unfunded mandates, things happening at the state. What happens if something else is passed that impacts this plan? Or once we're in this planning phase, is that not allowed? If they were to pass another regulation on us, what happens then?
I wish it wasn't allowed. It basically, and that's part of, what we're looking at in the long term and over the, 6 phases throughout the 13, 15-year construction and design phase, is that by phasing it out, it provides us opportunity to make adjustments to the design to meet those new requirements, if any are passed during this process.
Okay, so it wouldn't have a great impact on the phase we're in. We would, once we get to construction, we would proceed, but it could impact the next phase.
Yeah, basically, if they pass a new regulation and they put it into our discharge permit, typically they give you anywhere from a 3 to 5 year compliance schedule in order to complete design and construction in order to meet the new requirements.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please read, there's 3 votes on this. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, proposed resolution number 2025-12, authorizing and approving the guaranteed maximum price amendment 1 to the construction agreement with Moltz Construction, Inc. for the water recovery facility Phase 1 improvements early work package.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Wynn.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, council, please cast your vote electronically. And Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally. You
My
said
vote is yes.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. And all council members have voted. And the results are 9-0. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-13. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, proposed resolution number 2025-13, authorizing and approving the consulting agreement for Corello Engineering Company, Inc. for engineering services during construction of the water recovery facility, Phase 1, early work package.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Shab.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Wynn.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Council members, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have voted and the results will be displayed. That also passes 9-0. Finally, is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-109. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, proposed resolution number 2025-109, authorizing and approving the consulting agreement with Carrillo Engineering Company, Inc. for engineering design services for the water recovery facility, Phase 1B, 30% design.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Shab.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Leslie.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Wonderful. Council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. And Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have voted and the results will be displayed on the screen, and that passes 9-0 as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Rutt. Keeping us on track. Next, under action items this evening is proposed resolution for anticipated aggregate spend agreements with vendors for vehicle and equipment purchases. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you. And as I'm looking at Mr. Rutt, it is Mr. Munt that is going to introduce actually the next two items. He's the Deputy Director of Public Works. Mr. Munt.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, and Manager Hoffman. My name is Justin Munt, Deputy Director of Public Works. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2025 anticipated aggregate spend with Sill-TerHar Ford, the item on tonight's agenda. Next slide, please. Broomfield's fleet maintains 645 mobile assets. This slide is a breakdown that combined totals 515 combustion engines, 50 hybrid engines, and 21 electric assets that make up our current fleet. The proposed purchases on tonight's agenda are classified as police patrol vehicles and class 1 through 3 vehicles. Next slide, please. Vehicle replacement considers three main factors: age, mileage, and repair costs versus the vehicle's value. For instance, a F-350 would typically go for 10 years, 100,000 miles, or if it reaches 65% of its value in repairs. A police patrol unit has a much shorter replacement life cycle due to the nature of its heavy use. So for a patrol vehicle, that's 5 years, 100,000, 65%. This criteria is in alignment with industry standards and is similar to practices in our neighboring communities. Next slide, please. All vehicle equipment purchases are evaluated for environmental stewardship and sustainability impacts before exploring combustion-powered engines. Public Works continues to research and work with industry partners to advocate for the development of alternative fuel options for all Broomfield vehicle platforms. We do this through our seats on Fleet Pros, our national seat on Fleet Pros, and through organizations like Drive Clean Colorado. Next slide, please. This proposal includes a replacement of, actually, I think we're on the wrong slide deck. That is, I apologize for that. We're,
okay.
and I'm following along here, so that's been,
I like
yeah.
it. Are you
Very
talking about the
confusing
tree
for you, I'm
spade?
sure,
No.
because that's the next one. So preview.
It's awesome. Oh.
Much appreciated, Ken. All right. There we go.
Oh, yeah, that matches.
So
what
that
you're
matches
saying. Because there were
okay.
5 things in the other
Yes.
one. I was like, well, maybe he just summarized it. Thanks for
No, it's really
catching
3.
that.
Yeah, no, this is the correct slide deck. So my apologies
Okay.
for that.
It's all right.
Okay. So next slide. This is where we went into evaluating for environmental stewardship and sustainability impacts. Next slide, please. All right, now this is correct. This proposal includes replacement of 6 police interceptors. These vehicles have a high operational demand and must be used without interruption. Replacing them with hybrid electric vehicles or HEVs meets this demand while balancing the reduction in emissions. Currently, Broomfield has 27 of its 61 police patrol units already in the hybrid model. Ford estimates that each hybrid system can save up to 838 gallons of fuel per year, and that totals an estimated of $17,500 in fuel cost savings for these 6 vehicles. Next slide, please. This proposal also includes a replacement transit van. So it does, while EV platform is available for these vans, this Ford Transit van for the police traffic unit has specific operational demands for traffic investigations, such as 24-hour service, extended hours in poor weather conditions, weekend emergencies, and travel range that would require multiple EVs to support this operation. Next slide, please. The replacement of one F-350 pickup truck for the Parks Division is included in this proposal as well. This truck is on a Super Duty platform and is necessary for additional weight accommodations, increased towing capacity, and also will include a dump body. Currently, Super Duty trucks are not available in hybrid or electric platforms. Next slide, please. Chapter 3-20 of the Broomfield Municipal Code permits purchasing through cooperative agreements that meet or exceed Broomfield standards. Silterhar Ford, located in Broomfield, is the Colorado State awarded vendor for 2025. The 2025 budget includes funding for these vehicles and the proposed aggregate spend with Silterhar covers the anticipated 2025 vehicle purchases. Next slide, please. Resolution number 2025-08, if approved, authorizes the city and county manager to approve purchase orders for multiple vehicles from Silterhar Ford. This resolution also would permit the city and county manager to approve additional charges of up to 10% of the total, not to exceed an amount of $870,447, subject to budget limitations. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentation of the 2025 anticipated aggregate spend with Silterhar Ford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mutt. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please make your way to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Roxy Jula Lockmore. One of the pieces that is in the on the internet was not one of the slides that was shown. And I have a question about the $231,603 emergency vehicle replacement. And it says it's for one. What is that? Let's see. I think all the rest of them I can understand. And I fully endorse that they do need replacements. One of the things I have been noticing though is I've been seeing a lot of Broomfield vehicles totally out of area. I've seen them as far as Aurora, and they haven't been around any of the police stations or anything in that area. actually followed one down in Highlands Ranch. And it went into a private community that I couldn't get into. So maybe we need to put trackers on our equipment, or at least our vehicles. So they'll cut down on some mileage. That's going to Highlands Ranch is over 40 miles away, because I know I used to drive that all the time. So I'm out and about, but I really don't like seeing that. So, and I've seen them in front of homes and police cars also. It doesn't bother me too much, except for the fact they are a long ways away. So that means they need to be, they're offline. And then how long does it take them to get back in line? So to get back into our city to do our job. So anyway, so I want to know about that one piece of equipment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would you like to address that, Mr. Mott?
Thank you. Yes, so I'm not going to speculate as to the exact reasons, but there are probably multiple reasons why vehicles would leave the city and county Broomfield's jurisdiction to do police work. I'll let them answer that. However, we do have telematics on these vehicles, so we do have a record of where they are and where they have been. So we do have that information as well.
And the emergency vehicles.
And oh yes, and the emergency vehicle replacement, sorry, that is also so specific to PD, right? We need to have the ability to purchase at a moment's notice another interceptor, provided one would get into an accident or be beyond repair, and that would just allow us the space to purchase those in an emergency event. It wouldn't be something that we would just spend on a low priority vehicle.
All right, thank you very much. Any other public comments? All right, then questions from council are next. Any questions from council? Councilmember Marshall Olson.
I just have a quick question. At one of the conferences I attended this year, I think it was one of the ones in DC, they always have the vendors there. And they had, I was Chevrolet had a vendor of their EV police Blazers. Is that something we've looked at, explored the full EVs on those, or, I mean, for future maybe?
No, thank you for the question, council member. We have brought in a couple different pilots to have PD try out different EV platforms to see if it would be something that would fit their operational needs. I can't explain exactly what their needs would be that they don't do, and I think we could have someone if you wanted to know more. But there are reasons why they wouldn't work for PD right now.
I see a subject matter expert making their way down to the podium.
And I'm assuming other jurisdictions are using them, so curious.
And council, Mayor Pro Tem, and staff. Thanks for calling me an SME. With vehicles, I'm not sure if I am quite yet. I think this question is just coming to me because they're all in my division that we're asking for. So we haven't tried the Blazer yet, and I don't know of an agency around here that has one. The only thing that I've seen, just my parents had one of the Blazers, not the EV. The back seat is small for a prisoner compartment. So if we need to transport people, it's hard to get them in and out of those vehicles. And I know that was some of the problem even when we looked at the Teslas. And then as we're doing that, just once the infrastructure is built, it'll probably be an easier option, because right now with that running so constantly, it's hard to take it down for 20 minutes to an hour because you won't be able to respond to an emergency.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? All right, seeing none. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-08. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7C, proposed resolution number 2025-08 for anticipated aggregate spend agreement with Siltahar for vehicle purchases.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Leslie?
Second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Lim, I went too fast. There's a delay.
The other is. I just wanted to say thank you for whoever puts the notes in the memo to examine the sustainable options so that we have an understanding of that. That's in front of us right away when when we look at the memo. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, then council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have voted and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Thank you guys very much. Well, seeing it's already 7:55, let's go ahead and take our 10-minute recess now. We'll be back at 8:05, 8:06. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're on item 7D. Next, under action items is a proposed resolution authorizing and approving large equipment purchase for the Parks Department. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Mr. Munt is going to walk us through this item as well. He's the Deputy Director of Public Works, and we have the right presentation queued up for you this time,
We
Mr.
already got a
Munt.
teaser.
And pretty impressive that your adjustment was swift and not noticeable at all from having the different presentations. So well done, sir.
I'll take it. So again, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Manager Hoffman, Justin Munt, Deputy Director, Public Works. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2025 Fleet Large Purchase, Equipment Purchase item on tonight's agenda. Next slide, please. As mentioned in the last presentation, the slide shows you the breakdown of the assets that currently make up Broomfield's fleet. Tonight's proposed purchase is classified as off-road construction equipment. Next slide, please. The criteria used for replacing large construction equipment focuses on 5 main factors. Years of service, which can range from 10 to 20 years, depending on the equipment type. Availability of repair parts, as larger vehicles may be kept longer if parts are more easily accessible. Physical condition, especially if that equipment is exposed to corrosive materials such as our ice slicer, things of that nature. Reliability, as downtime significantly impacts operations, and repair costs, particularly when repairs approach 65% of the original purchase price. And while not a main factor in determining replacement, greenhouse gas reduction is also considered, with Tier 4 standards requiring significant reductions in particulate matter and nitrogen oxide emissions. Next slide, please. The current Parks Division front-end loader is 13 years old with 5,100 hours of operation on it. This loader is vital for Broomfield's Tree Branch and Yard Waste Recycling Center and helps the division move dirt, debris, fertilizer, and top dressing for athletic fields. This new replacement loader will include a tree spade attachment, allowing us to transplant trees up to a 10-inch trunk diameter and 25 feet in height. Next slide, please. Broomfield currently lacks a tree spade for transplanting large trees, requiring Broomfield to hire outside contractors at an average cost of $5,400 per transplant. The Parks Division estimates needing to move at least 50 trees from Community Park before the Broomfield Town Square project begins. With this new loader attachment, it is anticipated to save approximately $153,418 compared to current contractual costs. Next slide, please. Specifications for this replacement unit were developed based on Broomfield's Park Division operational needs, such as hydraulic power for lifting and pushing requirements, the ability to operate around the clock in poor conditions and during emergencies, and size requirements for heavy-duty tasks. A search for equipment options found that no manufacturers currently make an EV front-end loader that meets Broomfield's operational specifications. Next slide, please. Chapter 3-20 of the Broomfield Municipal Code allows for cooperative procurement of if the process meets or exceeds Broomfield standards. Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing meets Broomfield standards, and Four Rivers Equipment recognizes this agreement. Next slide, please. Resolution number 2025-07, if approved, authorizes the city and county manager to approve purchase orders with Four Rivers Equipment in the amount of $385,875. And Broomfield's 2025 budget includes the funds for this purchase. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentation of the 2025 fleet large equipment purchases. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munt. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard, please make your way to the podium.
Roxy Julia Lockmore. I think this agreement with Three Rivers is a good thing. They are a reputable company. And the equipment that we're replacing and getting our new tree digger is really needed by the community so we can start saving our trees. I just saw over off of Midway in Hoyt where they're tearing down the old pharmaceutical building. They took out a whole bunch of trees, which is on their property. But I thought we had made a rule about trying to save trees. Some of them were smaller trees, and this machine could have probably saved a few of them to go someplace else in Broomfield. But I don't know what their demolition requirements and stuff were. So, but to watch it tear out all the trees and stuff like that was a little hard to see. I don't mind the building being gone. The building was a mess. So they're still working on it. But this equipment, I have seen it. I've seen it out working. Our stuff, it's time for this to have an upgrade. Whether they keep the old stuff for a while just to have it as secondhand or whatever, that would be fine with me too. But yes, we do need our new stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to be heard? All right, we'll go to questions from council. Any questions from council? Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one short question. I know this is contracted for 2025 to 2027. There's always a concern with tariffs, certain fears for vehicles being cost more than they should be costing. I guess my question is it, in the budget, so to speak, where if the prices for a vehicle could go up in the next 6 months, I know there is some, the resolution does incorporate some asks where there's a certain amount, but is there any concerns for that? Or, getting this done quicker would save the community, more money, right?
Thank you for the question. Yes, we are anticipating getting this in September. And these prices are locked in through that cooperative agreement. So we don't anticipate any price changes as a part of that.
Thank you. Those are my questions, Mayor. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, Mayor. So the memo stated that with this purchase, with the tree shade attachment, the cost will be offset and actually save money due to the number of trees alone that will be transplanted with the Broomfield Town Square project. I'm curious if that project with the Broomfield Town Square does not move forward or continues to be delayed, is there any risk to not fully utilizing this attachment or not recovering that full cost as projected by staff?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City Staff, Clay Shuck, Director of Operations. No, there's not. Actually, I asked that very same question to our forester, John Vanko, and he let me know from February to April, they probably have a half dozen opportunities per month to move trees. And so within that time frame, yeah, we would be moving trees even without the BTS project.
Great, thank you for that. And also, with this large attachment, I got to believe that it's not going to be used, year round. So it's needing to be stored during the winter time. Do we have adequate space within the public works facilities to store this large attachment?
Yeah, so the loader would be at the tree recycling center because it'd be used on a more regular basis. But during the time that the spade's not being used, it would be stored in the parks service unit off 120.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Not seeing any. So next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-07. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7D, proposed resolution number 2025-07, authorizing and approving a large equipment purchase for the Parks Department.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Leslie.
I move the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Wynn.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. And Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have voted, so the results will be displayed, and that passes 9-0. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The final item under action items this evening is council's consideration of an ordinance on first reading related to medium to high density residential zoning. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Planning Manager Brandon Rowe is back at the podium. Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. Again, Brandon Rowe, Planning Manager. The item before you this evening is the first reading of the proposed ordinance number 2275 related to changes to the Broomfield Municipal Code for medium and high density residential districts and associated regulations. Next slide, please. This slide provides a high-level summary of the project thus far. So we're going to go way back to January of 2024, when the initial study session was held for this proposed project to update potential zone districts to help facilitate the construction of housing in Broomfield, specifically with a focus on the missing middle housing and advancing affordable housing in the community. During the study session, City Council directed staff to pursue modernizing Broomfield's residential zoning districts in order to promote this housing diversity and streamlining the review process as compared to the use of PUD in our community. A second study session was held in March of this year. Staff presented a proposed approach to advancing this proposal. And during that March study session, council directed staff to move forward with the formal ordinance, with a single change being requested to incorporate increasing the height for the proposed R7 district that we'll talk about in a few slides, from the original of 60 foot in height to 80 feet. And that change was incorporated into the draft, or not the draft ordinance, the proposed ordinance that's shared with you this evening. Between March of 2025, between the March 2025 study session and now, staff has been completing outreach. This included multiple neighborhood meetings, one virtual and one in person, and presentations to multiple boards and commissions in the community to present the proposed ordinance. Next slide, please. Broomfield zoning ordinance was originally adopted in 1973 as part of ordinance number 149. That ordinance established a combination of Euclidean, oftentimes called straight zoning districts or Euclidean zoning districts, and the Plan Unit Development District, which is a form of custom zoning. Since the creation of the residential districts back in 1973, the zoning code has been amended numerous times for various purposes, but the updates haven't really been focused on the residential districts, and they've remained pretty consistent since the original adoption. Next slide, please. Euclidean zoning and PUD zoning both have their own unique qualities and associated pros and cons. For the straight zoning or Euclidean zoning, this is things like our R1, R5, B1, B2. The pros include that there are set development standards established. It's a quicker development review process compared to the PUD process. There's generally a lower cost for the developers and Broomfield based on reduced staff time for multiple steps. There's a minimization in uncertainty and risk for developers as well, because the straight zoning districts established all development standards up front. One of the cons contributes to the proposed ordinance, and that is that these districts, once they're incorporated into the code, have the potential to become outdated and less useful as land use trends evolve and developers turn to the PUD instead to help create custom zoning. This ordinance is proposing to make changes to update and modernize our residential districts to again make them a valuable tool in the development toolkit. And then for PUDs, they have positive characteristics, including being flexible, customized zoning, each with unique and individual development standards, and allow for a greater mixing of uses. But this comes with some cons. This is additional costs for developers due to the requirement to not only do a site plan, but also rezone to PUD, do a separate PUD plan and the site plan. It's a longer development timeline because there's more steps in the process, and it adds increased uncertainty to the process, which can complicate project financing for developers. It also adds time to staff review times, which increases the cost on the Broomfield side as well. Next slide, please. Broomfield currently has 3 residential districts in the Euclidean form. Those are R1, which is low density, R3, which is medium density, and R5, which is high density. The proposed ordinance this evening does not include any changes to the R1 or low density zoning district but is focusing instead on the R3 and R5, and then would add a new district, the R7. It's important to note that if this ordinance is adopted by council, it will not include any city-initiated rezonings for these updated districts or the proposed new districts. However, any proposal to rezone to these districts would require public hearings by the property owner or the applicant. That includes both a LURC hearing and a city council hearing for the rezoning. And then all of the projects would still need to comply with public land dedication and the inclusionary housing ordinance as well. Next slide, please. This slide includes a map which shows all of the existing R3 and R5 zoned properties in Broomfield. You can see that they're generally situated central to the community. All of these sites are developed. There is no vacant property. So if the property owner were to want to redevelop, they would have to demolish the site and restart from that. Next slide, please. This slide provides a high-level overview of the changes proposed as part of this ordinance. The R3 zone district is proposed to be renamed from medium density to medium low density, and the development standards are proposed to be revised to accommodate townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and lower density multi-unit projects, similar to cluster cottage type products. The R5 zone district is proposed to be renamed from high density to medium high density, and the development standards are proposed to be changed to accommodate a neighborhood scale multi-unit development. And then, like I mentioned, this ordinance proposes to create a new zoning district, the R7, which would be the new high density district for Broomfield, and is intended for higher density multi-unit projects. And because of the scale of these types of projects anticipated for this district, the ordinance proposes that a site plan be required for the R7 district. Ordinance number 2275 also proposes to remove specific standards within the PUD code section related to medium density residential standards. And there are also two minor code cleanups changes to the supplementary regulations that were discussed in the memo. Next slide, please. So the next few slides are going to focus on the individual zone districts in greater detail. This table outlines the changes being proposed with the R3 district. The full changes were outlined in the memo themselves, but some key items that I'll highlight is that the proposal includes reducing the lot area, the minimum lot area for a lot in the R3 from the existing 8,000 square feet to a new 1,125 square feet. This is to allow for smaller unit construction and to allow for a diversified housing stock. So townhomes typically use smaller lots as opposed to single unit detached. A second change is related to the maximum height allowed, which the ordinance proposes to increase from the current maximum of 30 feet in height to 45 feet. And then the ordinance proposes to double the maximum permitted density from 10 units per acre to 20 units per acre. Private open area requirement is also proposed to be reduced from 40% of the site to 25%. It's important to note that private open area is different from public land dedication. So the public land dedication requirements would apply. The current requirement is 25% of the site be public land dedication. So this would be 25% public land dedication and then an additional 25% private open area. So if the ordinance was approved, there would still be the requirement for 50% of the site to be used for green space combined from private and public. The next slide provides some examples of development that these changes could allow and an example of a lot configuration for a townhome unit. The memo discusses the changes to the setbacks. I'm happy to answer questions on that, but gonna focus on the higher level items for the presentation. But these are some examples of the types of development that the revised R3 district could provide. This includes townhomes and quadplexes. And you can see here the R3 townhome lot example. You would have a 10-foot setback, a 15-foot setback, and then generally a 15-foot wide lot that's about 75 foot deep. Next slide, please. This table is focused on the changes proposed to the R5 district, notably reducing the front yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet. increasing the height from 30 feet to 50 feet, and increasing density from the existing 20 dwelling units per acre to a new density of 30 dwelling units per acre. The proposed ordinance does also include a step up. So this would be any R5 district that redeveloped and went to the maximum height, if they're adjacent to R1 zoned residential properties within the Broomfield Heights filing number 1 subdivision, they would be required to sort of stagger the heights. So any building portion that's within 35 feet of a shared property line with one of those R1 zoned Broomfield Heights filing number 1 properties would be capped at 35 feet. And then as soon as you went beyond that 35-foot buffer, for lack of better terms, you could step up to the maximum height. Again, the required on-site private open area is proposed to be reduced from 40% to 15%. And then the public land dedication requirement is required for this site as well. The next slide shows some examples of the type of development that you could see with this. The example is the Retreat at Flatirons. That's a 42-foot tall building. And then the next slide is the new proposed R7 zone district. So this district is proposing to allow for buildings up to 80 feet in height. It is proposing a 25-foot to parking lots, front yard setback, and 15-foot to the building. The goal there is to orient the building closer to the street to create a more urban feel. And then again, like the other properties or other zone districts, 15% of the land area to be private open area. And then the public land dedication and the IHO requirements would have to be met. The difference with the R7, as I mentioned, is that applicants who seek to develop using the R7 standards would have to go through the process of rezoning their property. Since this is a new zone district, there are no properties in Broomfield that would be R7. If the ordinance was approved, we'd have to start with that rezoning. It would also require a concept review, a neighborhood meeting, site development plan to go through the full process to develop under these standards. The next 2 slides provide some examples of development that could be possible. We can sort of scroll through that. The first one's Terracina, and that's a 60-foot tall building. And then the next one is the Lock Mid-Cities, which is a 71-foot building height. So these are consistent with the proposed heights that were discussed and consistent with the requested change that council provided at the last study session to increase from the 60 feet to the 80 feet for this zone district. Next slide, please. As discussed, there are a couple things that are proposed to be removed within the PUD district. So the PUD district is a custom zoning district. The standards identified on this slide are in the code. There are standards for medium density residential, both detached and attached. And it creates a bit of a conundrum for PUD zoning because it's supposed to be custom zoning, but by creating standards of what the development standards should be, it means that almost every PUD that we have asks for a variance from these standards, which is counterintuitive. So staff recognizes that in order to realize the full potential of PUD, removing these standards can simplify the process and remove one more item that council will have to consider. In my 8 years here, I've never seen it be an issue, but it's just one extra step that the developer has to go through. So we would remove these and truly allow for the developer to create true customized zoning moving forward if they chose to go the PUD route as opposed to one of our revamped straight districts. Next slide. So tonight is the first reading of the proposed ordinance. If council approves the ordinance on first reading this evening, then a second reading and public hearing is anticipated to be scheduled for August 12th of 2025. That would be a public hearing that takes public comment. We also have a Broomfield voice page that is collecting public comment currently, and all of those comments will be shared with council with the second reading. So this concludes my staff presentation this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to comment on this item, now's the time.
Roxy Jewel Lockmore. I think this is a good thing. We've fallen behind all the other communities. And like I've said before, I'm out and about and stuff. And even some smaller communities are, I don't know, they're more advanced than what we are. If we want to stay a mom and pops in the backdoor community to Boulder or to Denver and stuff like that, you can stay with your low heights on your buildings and keep your density down. But then again, you're not going to be able to have the community that you really want. We need to be more rounded, and keeping the height down to only 33 feet is not keeping us rounded. We need to let everybody have a place. We don't have it set up for everybody to have a place right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this item? One online, so we'll go to questions from council next. Does any member of council have any questions? Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate it. My question is for the number of affected homes, which is 53 acres of 746 units within Broomfield. I guess my question is, why are these units and how do we get here in the first place? And why are we looking at these particular 746 units?
Council member, was that in regards to the units that are adjacent to the existing property or within close
Yes.
proximity?
That's right.
So we had applied a buffer from it to notify residents of the proposed changes because they would be the ones most impacted. It was consistent with the typical noticing radius that we do. And they were invited to the neighborhood meetings, and that was the approach that we took. Since the R3 and the R5 zoning districts exist, we wanted to make sure to communicate to those folks the changes that we were proposing prior to coming to this meeting tonight and sort of catching them off guard.
Yeah, no, that's really all my questions. Again, I applaud the work you've done, and I think this really does fit the mold that we are trying to make affordable homes that give options to residents. So I appreciate the work, and that's my only question, just asking about the numbers. So thank you very much, Mayor, or staff.
And Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, Mayor. So there is some concern with residents in Lacamora, especially with more massive buildings constructed in the Arista, Interlochen, Flatiron Crossing areas, particularly more buildings that they're imagining of the size of the Omni Interlochen or the Omni Hotel and Resort. You had mentioned the Terracina building that was pictured, I believe it was 4 stories. You said that was about 60 feet tall. The lock, I didn't quite get that number there, 71. Do you have the height of what that Omni Hotel and Resort is by chance?
That is the one building that I didn't prepare for.
That's all right.
So I don't have it, but I'd be happy to have that number for us for second reading if it's approved this evening.
Perfect. I think that will help to understand kind of the differentiation between these sizes. I believe the Omni was part of a PUD plan, so it falls outside of this. And of course, the R7 district wasn't established at that point. So it is a little bit of an anomaly. So just trying to provide some more context. So thank you for bringing that back for second reading. Thanks, Mayor.
Absolutely. Councilmember Lim.
The memo stated an interesting idea that a resident proposed in one of the neighborhood meetings, I think it was, where they asked staff if they had considered graduating the height restrictions based on elevation. And there was an interesting, if you could just describe what your consideration was in that idea. And then this would be more for the attorney. Could you, could you describe, and in the memo, it certainly says that we, any R7 district would come before council because it would be a rezoning, any proposal in a R7 district. Could you describe maybe for residents, what would be some of the factors then that council could consider in that R7 rezoning as to whether or not that development was appropriate for R7 rezoning. Thanks.
Take a stab at it, but Courtney Hartman is here. Yeah, if you give us a moment to pull up the criteria.
I can start with my question, then the attorneys can go back if that works,
Great,
Councilmember.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, it was a unique proposal that was shared by a resident of, instead of looking at a maximum height regardless of sort of where the ground level starts, using the elevation as the basis for maximum heights. Staff did look into it and see if a lot of other communities do it. It's not very commonly used by other communities. One of the reasons being that perspective matters. So it depends on what side of the building you potentially are, of what the view planes could be impacted. Looking from one direction, a building height of 30 feet may be really obstructive, but from the other direction, if you're at a higher elevation than the building, it doesn't obstruct it as much and it could theoretically be taller. We also realize that it's just a really complex element to enforce. And the goal of the zoning districts is to simplify the process, not only for developers, but also city staff. So we opted to move forward with the proposal of sticking with just a base building height like we do for every other zoning district in Broomfield.
Mayor, just real quickly, an 11-story building, the Omni is an 11-story building. So it's approximately 110 feet tall. So generally it's 10 feet per story. Standard height is 10 feet per story. Therefore, an 11-story building would be about 110 feet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman.
Gotta love Google on a
That was
Tuesday
good.
night.
He beat me.
And if the attorneys would like me to start the discussion on rezonings, I'm happy to do that. The municipal code does include some procedures for rezoning applications. And it does include some criteria to base those decisions on. So that includes that it's in general conformance with the applicable land use plans, including but not limited to the comprehensive plan, any sub area plans, noting if there's been any substantial changes in the character of the area to support the rezoning, or the official zoning classification is an error. In this case, the R7, that wouldn't be the case. The criteria of if the proposal is compatible with existing and allowable land uses in the surrounding area, the proposal's effect on the health, safety, and welfare of residents and landowners in the surrounding area, and if it's an opportunity or an appropriate site at an appropriate location for the particular type of land use or development proposed, and will help the city achieve a balance of land use, tax base, or housing types consistent with the overall planning and economic development goals of the community. Those are all the criteria listed.
Thank you for being the attorney.
Sorry, I had it right up for you.
Yeah, no, I'll tee it up for you.
That all, Councilmember Lim?
Yes, thank you.
Of course, Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I was curious, when you were developing the R7, did you, and you don't need to list them, but did you identify parcels in the community that are likely to be candidates for R7? Do we have a substantial amount of land that would fit?
So I'll be honest, Shelby Donahoe had started this project and she's no longer with Broomfield, so I've taken it over. My understanding is that because we don't own any of the properties and we're not developing residential, we didn't look at specific parcels. It was more of if a developer or property owner wanted to move forward with that proposal, they could go through the process that was outlined and let council determine if it was an appropriate location. Realistically, I think that there are areas that may not make sense, but I don't think we went to the level of detail of parcel by parcel analysis.
Right. I didn't know if there was a total, like there's a certain amount of acreage you think is potential along 36, along I-25, or some areas of that nature.
I don't.
And is R7 modeled on any other zoning in the area that other communities have already adopted?
Yeah, so the R7 zone district and all of the changes to the proposed residential districts were based on sort of analysis of not only surrounding communities and changes they've made to their zone districts, but also an analysis of sort of best practices that have emerged in planning since 1973 when we adopted the ordinance originally.
So are there R7s out there or are we trailblazing here a little bit?
So there are zone districts that are comparable to R7. Each community will name them differently. But we're not sort of we're not leading the pack in terms of an R7. We used other communities to build that district.
We're not expecting Louisville to have 80-foot tall buildings or Lafayette.
Boulder County has a height limit in their charter.
Do they?
Mm.
So no. Other than, yeah, okay. All right, so some have gone that direction. There is some availability of building outside of Boulder County. That
Well,
kind of
if
height.
I may, didn't
Yeah.
we approve a height similar with baseline in one of the sub-area plans? I remember it was on the I-25 corridor. Anybody recall that? I do.
Yes, so baseline has significantly taller heights allowed in the PUD. I would also note that council recently adopted the TOD district, which we did envision was for places similar to Arista that's anticipated for transit. And that is a taller height than what the R7 is
This would be
proposing.
used somewhere outside of the transit areas.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online? No? All right. So next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2275. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7E, ordinance number 2275 to amend the Broomfield Municipal Code Title 17 related to medium to high density residential zoning.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on first reading and order published in full? Councilmember Wynn.
I make this motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Marshall Olson.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2275. Council, please cast your vote electronically. Councilmember Delgadillo, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward, please state your vote verbally.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. All council members have voted. And the results are displayed 9-0. That passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe and team. Well, there are no mayor or council member requests for future action this evening. Is there any other business to come before the council from my colleagues or staff? Seeing none, there being no further business, the business meeting is adjourned. Good night.